When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Suddenly, I heard a shriek come from behind me. I screamed in fear and bolted, boyfriend in tow. Suddenly, I heard a shriek come from behind me. It was animalistic, but unlike anything I'd ever heard. I screamed in fear and bolted, boyfriend in tow.
My heart was pounding so hard I could almost hear it. This was not my mother.
Sometimes when you enter a room, it feels like another person is leaving, their shadow cast on the wall.
From Killer Podcasts. True tales of horror, bizarre happenings, unexplainable events. This is Disturbed. Hello and welcome back to the show. Today we have 5 stories that will haunt you for the weeks to come. First, something dark hunts an unsuspecting couple in the woods. Narrated by David Ilchert from Reddit user Acrobatic Team 1851.
I live in Florida, and around 10:30 one night, my boyfriend and I went out to go catch possums and raccoons at my school's arboretum. I know those trails inside and out. I go on runs there 2 to 4 times a week. It was always so early that it was dark out, so I wasn't worried about a late night stroll. We walk my normal route, which consists of taking the first path left and then walking forward with no turns. It takes you around the perimeter of the arboretum and gives you views of the football field and the residential houses. So, 45 minutes into our walk, I hear a noise to my left. It was a rustling sound, like a small animal was going by. I turned to see what made the noise, but nothing was there. Then my boyfriend pointed forward. "Hey, do you see a deer?" he asked. I have really good night vision, but I didn't see anything. My boyfriend was insistent that something was there. He tracked it with his finger as it moved through the woods, telling me when it jumped over a trail or went past a certain tree. Despite the action he was describing, the woods were quiet. All I could hear was the faint chorus of insects. I jokingly asked him if he was hallucinating, and he made an offhand comment about how it was unusual for a deer to be by itself. We didn't think anything of it and continued on with our walk. After another mile or so, we were stopped by an incredibly strong odor, a mixture of weed and burning. As we tried to decipher the smell, I realized that the trail around us was unfamiliar. I looked all around and I had no idea where we were. That made absolutely no sense, because like I said, I was extremely familiar with this area. Up ahead, the path forked. We believed the trail on the right was heading in the direction of the entrance, and the trail on the left led further into darkness. I thought it was an easy choice, but it took some convincing to get my boyfriend to agree to go right. The grass on the path became incredibly dense almost immediately. It was also really tall and reached about my lower chest. We waded through the brush in the dark, completely unable to see anything on the ground around us. Then I heard the faint crunch of a branch to my right. I spun around and asked, "Did you hear that?" My boyfriend whipped out his phone and turned on the built-in flashlight, trying to get a glimpse of what caused the noise. I spent almost a minute searching, my eyes fixated down at the brush until he interrupted my investigation. Honey? Look." I looked up and saw a pair of glowing blue eyes 9 feet above the ground. I watched them slowly pan over me and my boyfriend. Then the eyes moved silently through the air in our direction. I grabbed my boyfriend's wrist and said, "We've got to go." I yanked him away from the creature and briskly walked back the way we came. I was trying to rationalize this being a bear, so I told him not to run, and he kept his eyes on it as I took us up the path. I kept taking anxious glances over my shoulder and saw the eyes following about 10 feet behind, smoothly zigzagging back and forth. Sweat started dripping down my temple. Suddenly, I heard a shriek come from behind me. It was animalistic, but unlike anything I'd ever heard. I screamed in fear and bolted, boyfriend in tow. We ran so fast through the dark that we could barely see what was in front of us. We stumbled on roots and narrowly dodged rocks, too afraid to slow down or look behind us. As we ran, my boyfriend kept saying things like, "This isn't the right path," or "We need to turn," even though it was just a straight shot back. I ignored him and pressed forward. The sound of our shoes thumping on the dirt was joined by the chirps of crickets and bugs. Oh, and I swear it crescendoed, getting louder and louder until it was almost deafening. We burst through the arboretum, panting like crazy, and looked back from where we came. The eyes were gone. Oh. As we walked away, my boyfriend couldn't stop looking back toward the woods. He said his body was telling him to go back. Oh, it was really scary. When we got back to his place, the panic fully set in. I couldn't stand going home alone, so I stayed over, but I didn't sleep at all. Every time I tried to go to bed, I saw the eyes. I went 48 hours without sleep. When I finally did get to bed, all I was able to muster was a restless 2-hour nap. Since then, I've had extreme paranoia. I can't go anywhere without my boyfriend on the phone. We've tried to rationalize it, but nothing makes sense. It didn't move or sound like a bear. And there were no trees for it to have been a panther. Not to mention the fact that there's never been a panther sighting in this part of Florida. Our only other guess is that it was a crawler, but I didn't see enough of it to know for sure. Whatever it was, it made me terrified of what could be hiding in the darkness.
You know what doesn't belong in your epic summer plans? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning beach trips, barbecues, and 3-day weekends, your wireless bill should be the last thing holding you back. That's why I made the switch to Mint Mobile. With Mint, you can get the coverage and speed you're used to, but for way less money. And for a limited time, Mint Mobile is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for $15 a month. So while your friends are sweating over data overages and surprise charges, you'll be chilling, literally and financially. 3 years ago, I ditched my old overpriced wireless plan from one of the 3 big carriers, and I'm telling everyone now to do the same. Now I have unlimited service on the nation's largest 5G network. Plus, I get to keep my phone and my number. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get this new customer offer for your 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/disturbed. That's mintmobile.com/disturbed. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
This episode is brought to you by Nordstrom. Summer's almost out and fall's calling. Luckily, Nordstrom has everything you need for the season ahead, all under $100. Discover new arrivals from your favorite brands like Mango, Princess Polly, Wave, Free People, BDG, and more. Whether you're planning a last-minute getaway, heading back to class, or refreshing your office looks, you'll find the latest trends and beauty must-haves without breaking your budget. It's easy, too, with free shipping, free returns, and in-store order pickup. Shop today, in stores, and at Nordstrom.com.
Next, a dark entity appears, and from its lips come mysterious instructions. Narrated by Safe Jassani from Reddit user Matt Jowan.
I've dealt with sleep paralysis since I was a teenager. I'm familiar with the routine. The frozen body, the weight on my chest, and the looming sense that I'm not alone. But there was one incident about 2 years ago that still unsettles me every time I think about it. It was different. Something spoke to me in a way I've never felt or experienced before. It started like most of my episodes. I was asleep in bed and suddenly became aware that I couldn't move, but I knew something was next to me. I could feel it. And then, I saw it. There was a tall, thin, pitch-black figure standing directly beside me. No facial features, no glowing eyes, just a void in the shape of an eerily stretched person. Darker than the darkness of the room itself. The curtains were slightly cracked, letting in a soft line of natural light from outside, but it didn't illuminate him. It was as if the absence of light had taken on form and weight. Then it started speaking. The voice was deep, heavy, and fast. The language, I can't even begin to describe it. I've never heard anything like it. It wasn't gibberish either. It was fluent, intentional. It had a rhythm. It seemed articulate with chunky, harsh sounds that carried this electric-like feel. Almost like the words were being charged with something, vibrating in the air around me. I felt as though this thing was giving me some sort of instructions. I was frozen. I couldn't move an inch. I couldn't whisper a scream. But despite the intense fear, the strongest emotion running through me was rage. Pure fury. I wanted to attack it, to hurt it. Which is strange because in most paralysis episodes, I just feel fear or confusion. This time, I felt like I was ready to fight for my life. The figure kept speaking, fast, intentional, and deep, until suddenly I heard as clear as day a voice in my head. Not in the language the figure was speaking. A different, human-like one. Neutral. Commanding. Almost like narration. And now you can wake up. And just like that, I jolted awake, soaked in sweat, heart racing like I'd sprinted a mile. The room was empty, silent. I was alone. I've had other sleep paralysis episodes. I've seen other black figures, sometimes tall, sometimes short. Once I even felt myself flying toward the ceiling, only to wake up just before impact. And I've been diagnosed with something called exploding head syndrome, where I'll shift from a dream straight into a sleep paralysis state with an intense, painful vibration that feels like my skull is about to burst. It hurts so much that I'm convinced I'm about to die. Until suddenly I snap awake, crawling with pins and needles, the pain gone like it never happened. I'm not saying this wasn't sleep paralysis. It had all the hallmarks of it, but this experience felt really weird, The language, the tone, the sort of weird message. I've never experienced anything like it since.
In our next story, something evil hides behind the face of their mother. Narrated by Jhas Williams from Reddit user NecessaryOrange334.
It was a summer vacation of the mid-2000s when I was woken up by my 4-year-old brother one afternoon after the longest nap ever. One of those naps that make you forget what year it is. I was frustrated and groggy, though, because I knew it was time for him to get his milk. My brother had some growth and health issues, so a pediatrician prescribed him this formula that we had to give him, and my mom was out of the house. She went to see my grandmom, who had just had surgery, but she usually kept his food prepped. All I usually had to do was warm it up. I walked into the kitchen, still rubbing my eyes. When I looked up, my mom was there, preparing my brother's food. At first, I felt kind of bad because I knew I was supposed to do it, and that meant she had come back home early to do my job. But then I realized something was off. She was hastily taking all the formula, putting it into the same cup, like her life depended on it. I had no idea why she would be doing this, especially since she'd already prepared his food. My brain was still rebooting from my nap, so I asked, "When did you come back? And why did you not wake me up?" She turned and looked right at me. In her eyes, I saw this terrifying rage, unlike anything my mom had ever expressed before. I was immediately struck with fear and confusion. I mean, why was she so mad? It's hard to pinpoint, but there was also something different about her face. It was like the proportions of her features were off. Terrified, I said, "Let me help you," in hopes of just placating her. She didn't respond. Instead, she stared at me, unblinking, vigorously stirring the feeder bottle. Milk was splashing everywhere, and her face grew more and more unfamiliar, shifting and morphing in front of my eyes. My heart was pounding so hard I could almost hear it. This was not my mother. I scooped up my brother and made a break for the front door, slamming it as I left. I ran over to my neighbor's house. I pounded on their door. I mean, I must have looked insane, but they were kind enough to let me in and hide out at their place and use their phone. I called my mom, and my suspicions were confirmed. She was with my grandma at the hospital. She told me she'd be home in a couple hours, so I stayed at the neighbor's house until then. When my mom got back, she picked me up from the neighbor's and walked me back to our house. The kitchen was a mess. Spilled formula, bottles strewn about, milk everywhere. My mom was pissed, and of course, she thought I did it, so I got in huge trouble. Now, to be honest, my mom was narcissistic, and my father was emotionally absent during my childhood. It definitely caused some trauma, but now that I'm an adult, I understand my mom because I know how evil and abusive my dad was to her. I only bring this up because maybe I dreamt the whole thing. Maybe my brain wasn't fully awake and it fabricated a nightmare based on my trauma. At least that's my only hypothesis. But it still doesn't explain the mess in the kitchen. I really hope it was just a bad dream. Because who knows what would have happened if that thing got its hands on me or my brother.
eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
Shh. Hear that? Big waves are calling. Dive into refreshment with Kona Big Wave. Tropical flavor and the taste of aloha in every drop. This summer, don't just listen. Join Kona on the Big Wave Bonfire Tour. More information at konabigwave.com/bigwavemusic. Kona Big Wave, liquid aloha. Copyright 2025 Kona Brewing Co., St. Louis, Missouri. Mahalo for enjoying responsibly.
Next, the shadows hide just out of sight, but they're closing in. Narrated by Bodhi Crowe, from Reddit user Mr. Baver.
My girlfriend and I live in a 2-bedroom apartment that's about 30 years old. For years, we've experienced strange occurrences. It began with sightings of a cat. My girlfriend would see a cat walk into the room, sometimes resembling our own cat, sometimes not. These sightings were always fleeting, visible only from the corner of the eye, vanishing when looking at it directly. I started noticing it too. Often while working late at my computer, the cat would appear to walk in, sit on the floor, and stare at me. But when I turned to look, it disappeared. These sightings are sporadic, sometimes happening multiple times a day, then not at all for months. We've also seen mysterious shadows on our walls. Sometimes when you enter a room, it feels like another person is leaving, their shadow cast on the wall. For me, the shadows only appear on the walls, not in the room itself. My girlfriend, however, has more intense experiences. She wakes up at night and sees a shadowy figure, like a man, standing in the corner of the bedroom, watching us. She also sees white, flowery shapes in the hallway and shower, sometimes as small balls, sometimes as lines. My experiences unsettle me, but they're brief, lasting only a second before vanishing. For my girlfriend, the visions linger longer. She's seen things on the other side of the shower curtain while bathing, to the point where she now asks me to sit in the bathroom when she showers. Recently, though, something new happened. A few nights ago, as I lay down to sleep, I felt what seemed like a cat jumping on my bed, taking small steps toward me and settling down beside me. When I reached to pet her, nothing was there. A few nights later, I felt the same sensation, but this time, it walked across my pillow, near my head. We tried burning sage to cleanse the apartment, but it had no effect. I still have no idea what's haunting our apartment.
Want more Disturbed? Check out our Patreon for member-exclusive content, early merch access, and other cool perks. I'm your host, Doug Bailey, and this has been Disturbed, a production of Killer Podcasts and part of the Evergreen Network. For more paranormal and true crime shows, visit killerpodcasts.com. Follow our social channels at Disturbed Podcast on Instagram or Disturbed_pod on Twitter. If you enjoyed the show, please consider subscribing and reviewing on your favorite listening platform. Share your own true horror story at disturbedpodcast.com. Music by Epidemic Sound and by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio.
Our producer is Declan Roars. Audio engineering by Nathan Corson and Will Pritz.
Executive producer Bridget Coyne. Until next time, stay safe out there.